Hi, everyone. This is the Perspective with Viv podcast. My name is Viv, and welcome to the show. Today's title is Raising Frequency Through Media with Will Rodriguez and Karen Ensley. Will and Karen Rodriguez are the creators of the Skeptic Metaphysicians podcast, ranked in the top 1% globally for spirituality, and the founders of New Reality TV, a conscious streaming platform for seekers, mystics, and spiritually curious minds. Blending a skeptic's eye with an open heart, they're on a mission to raise the planet's frequency through soul-centered media that heals without fear. Their journey spans over 130 conversations, a wild healing story that defies logic, and a growing media revolution powered by truth, transformation, and lots of laughter. Hi, thank you for joining me on the show.
Excited to be here. Thanks for
Thank
your
you for
invitation.
inviting us. Yeah.
It's my pleasure. So let's dive right into the questions. Now, Will, you describe yourself as skeptic metaphysician, but your journey didn't start with belief. It started with doubt. Can you take us back to what cracked open your search for truth?
I did. No.
She's got that hammer of hers. Just so, like most journeys, it always happens in a moment of crisis. Right? Most like the hero's journey. Well, not that I'm calling myself a hero, because I'm certainly not. But back in 2020, when the world was shutting down due to COVID, I had an opportunity to look at myself naked in the mirror and say, "Ooh, I got to get in the gym." But beyond that, I realized I had an existential crisis. I did not like who I was. I didn't like how judgmental I was, how angry I was, how
Entitled.
Thanks for your help,
Selfish.
Karen.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah, but I really didn't like myself, and it came up to a point where I had to take time off of work to try to get my head on straight. I went to therapy, and the therapist, I was unbelievably blessed to find a great therapist who turned me on to meditation to deal with the anxiety to begin with. Meditation helped to start my journey on other ways, because I started realizing we're much more than just these three-dimensional bodies that we inhabit. I picked up an old book that I read a long, long time ago, but I hadn't picked up in a long time, called Conversations with God. And I had been resistant to picking up that book again because of the word God in the title. And when I read it again, I was surprised to feel so different about it. It's actually not at all what people in the religious side of things believe. In fact, I think a lot of religious people might find it to be kind of sacrilegious, because it's very different than the Bible, for example. But the reason why I bring that up is because that was the launching point for me to change my perspective on a lot of things. There's a lot of things in that book that helped me to understand things I didn't even realize I needed answers to. And then I just started doing explorations, having these conversations with people. Still, I'm from the New York area, so uh, we have been ingrained to not believe anything sight unseen. We have to be able to feel it, to taste it, to touch it. We have to understand it before we can actually take it as fact. So I wanted to believe all of these things. Near-death experiences, past lives, energy healings, all these kinds of things. I wanted to believe them, astral body projection, but I couldn't just believe it. I needed to dive into them so that I could pragmatically wrap my head around. That's where the skeptic comes from. Now, I want to mention, I was skeptical, not cynical, and I think there's a big difference there, because I wanted to believe, and so I would invite people to help me to understand it, and that went a long way. And then after a while, out of that came the Skeptic Metaphysician podcast. And then after a while, invited Karen to come on board, because she brings a totally different perspective to the show. And that's what makes it different, I think.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Karen, I would love to hear your story and how your journey joined with Will's.
Well, we're very different. And that's interesting, because a lot of people think since we do this podcast together, we work together, we've been married for 17 years. Did I get that right? I always get it wrong.
Yeah, I guess. We'll talk offline.
They think that people tend to think that we're very, very similar. And we are in a lot of ways, but we're also very different in a lot of ways.
Okay.
I did not grow up in New York. while I did, love, math and science, I was going to be an engineer when I went to college. I also love the beauty, love focusing on the beauty, the wonder, the wow. And I saw so many things in my life that happened as from a kid growing on that it didn't occur to me not to believe it.
Mm.
And it was just so much easier and beautiful just to accept these things for what they were than to try to figure out why. Why should I negate that as a miracle? Why should I figure out how science made this happen or why that's not possible? So in our marriage, at first, we didn't really talk a whole lot about that. But through these conversations that we've been having for the last several years, we've gotten to know a lot of things that we very much agree upon and a lot of things that we very, very much differ on in this space. So I joined him mostly out of fun. He did some interviews with some couples that we knew that had had their experiences. So I came on just to have a party. And it just ended up going so well that we continued. And what we do now when we have an interview, Will takes his time. He researches the person. He finds out, he goes to the website. He finds out all about them. When I come into the interview, I don't even know who we're talking to. So I learn about that through the introduction. And it's kind of like, I like to think that we give a lot of perspectives on our show. I give the audience perspective because I don't have any idea what we're talking about. I have the woman's perspective and I have the more woo kind of perspective. So, yeah, so here
Thank
we
you
are.
for sharing that. Yes, thank you for sharing that.
And there's
Now, a
one other
question.
big difference.
What's the difference?
One other big perspective. I'm funny.
I'm very
Really?
serious. Very serious.
I'm just teasing, obviously.
Yeah,
She's actually the funny
no,
one.
that's cool. No, I can say that she's funnier than you, Will. I'm sorry. She's like, she doesn't even try.
Ouch,
She's just
Viv.
funny. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Wow.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I can't deny that.
So, a question. You being the more woo one, Karen, there are times when you and Will butt heads because he still may have that skeptical perspective when approaching new concepts? And are you like, no, you need to believe in this? I ask, let me just say, because, as a woman, when you're a woo kind of girl or you're into things and you have like a partner, there's a certain level of connection you want to have with them that if they have that skeptical approach, you're like, hell no, we have to change that. I'm not trying to change you, but you need to meet me in the middle. Can you tell me your own experience?
Well, we did for a little while. When we have a daughter and she's 14 now, but when she was 3, we were getting ready. We moved from the state that our family lives. We moved to Virginia. We didn't know anybody here and she was getting ready for preschool. So I'm doing all of the research and trying to find the best preschool possible. And the one that I found was a religious preschool. And he was very upset because he thought, well, they're going to just indoctrinate her and this and that. And I'm thinking it's just going to be the safest, best place for her, which was my concern. And so we had that little bit of a headbutt where he very firmly believed, this was before the podcast, this was before anything happened. He firmly believed that people that had these religious beliefs were just wrong. And, how can they believe in this and you can't prove this and whatnot? And she's going to become like this person. I'm like, no, she's going to learn from us. It was this big thing. So through this process and everything that we've been talking about and the changes that honestly he's changed, he's not the same person he was 5 years ago, which is he was wonderful then, he's even more wonderful now. But through these changes, it's not that we agree on everything, but the biggest thing that makes it so that we can, having our different beliefs, we can stay together is the fact that he is willing to say, oh, okay, maybe. So I'm not saying, well, you need to believe that this happened. If it's something that and actually he's a lot more of a believing in all this stuff nowadays anyways. But
Lovely.
he's open to the fact that even if he doesn't get it, doesn't think it's right for somebody. He tells this story, and I'll let you tell your story about the Mountain of Truth, which kind of explains how much he's changed and how that has been really able to solidify our relationship.
Yeah, but before that, you know what I got from that? What I got from what you just said?
What?
That she's funny and I'm wonderful. So I just want to point that out, right?
That balances things out, yeah.
Yes, totally. Yeah. So, the Mountain of Truth. One day, God was standing on his Mountain of Truth, and he was looking down on the world. And he was liking what he saw, so he wanted to get a closer look. And he leaned over a little bit just to get a little bit closer look. And as he did so, he lost his footing. And as he tried to regain his footing on the Mountain of Truth, a couple of pebbles dislodged from the mountain and fell down into the world. And so he looked down going, uh-oh, what have I done? And to his surprise, He saw all the people in the world running to these pebbles, grabbing them, raising them over their heads, and crying out, "I have the truth." But in essence, all they had was a little pebble from the mountain of truth, and they were all different. And so for me, the only way to come, first of all, we're never going to get to the actual truth until we pass on, right? But in the meantime, how is it possible for me to say that I have the truth when all I can see is this tiny little thing that doesn't even come close to encompassing the vastness of what the truth actually is?
And it's based on your perspective and your experience.
Correct. Yes.
And that is not the person 5 years ago. He would not have said that.
Well, when you come from a pragmatic point of view, it's black and white. It's scientifically proven or it's not. And those things that aren't scientifically proven just don't exist because it can't possibly exist in this material world. We're in this dive that we've taken over the past 4 years. I've found that there's way more stuff out there than scientifically can be measured or proven. I've experienced things that I can't scientifically explain. So that's opened up some stuff to me that makes me go, okay, all right,
Yeah.
maybe there is something to this. And as I've learned, it turns out
There is.
not only is there, but we create it. We create our own reality. We create our own path. So just like all of our thumbprints are completely different, one from the other. There's no one the same. Same with the snowflake. How could we possibly expect that our spiritual path would be exactly the same as someone else's? It's not. It can't be. We all have our own experiences, our own needs, our own
Thumbs.
thumbs. For God's sake, right? So, when I realized that, it lifted a lot of angst that I had been living with my entire life.
Thank you for sharing those remarkable stories. There's so much to take from it. But one thing I would say is it also shows the beauty of allowing yourself to evolve as a human. A lot of times people believe that they should stay restricted and constricted to what they've already known of or always known and believed, or what society generally believes about, oh, we need to see scientific proof. We need to see material things before we can really understand the spiritual. But it also shows that people that may have been skeptic or pragmatic can evolve and actually see way more and, expand their worldview and then share it to other people, causing them to also feel some form of change, which is why my next question has to do with conscious media. Now you're
Okay.
building a streaming platform, essentially Netflix for the spiritually curious. That's a huge leap. How did this idea go from concept to reality?
Ooh.
Honestly, I don't know.
Well, so we work in TV.
Yes, we do.
So it wasn't necessarily a huge leap.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think so. One of the things with all of these interviews that we've had, one of the things we've realized is that although everyone's story is different, they're essentially saying the same thing
In different words.
in different words, different languages, different modalities. So we vet the people that we interview. We look for positive, high vibe content. We're not looking for necessarily the fear based stuff. So everyone that
Yeah.
we've talked to has the same feeling, and we thought we just need to really spread these messages, and that's what they want to help. And how can we help everyone get their word out in the biggest way possible?
Yeah.
Well,
And to me, I was teasing earlier. I do know how it came to pass. There's actually two pivotal things that happened that helped me wrap my head around what we needed to do, and is to launch this platform. For one, on our show, the Skeptic Metaphysicians, we get comments all the time, whether it's a review or an email or a voicemail. We love hearing from the audience, because it really helps us move the messages forward, the mission forward, because we see how much we're touching other people and how we're helping. But we were about to close down the show a while back because I felt better and I didn't feel I need the show to process these emotions as much anymore.
and also it was taking so much
It
time.
was.
He is very much a perfectionist. The audio has to be perfect. This, that, the editing.
Recovering perfectionist.
And-
That's funny.
But it was taking so much time away from our family because we, have full-time jobs as well, and our daughter's young, and we want to be present for her. Well, I was, but he does all the work. I have to give him the credit for that.
Oh,
So, at that point we were like, okay, we need to, you feel better now. This has served its purpose because it really was a very personal, and I don't want, not selfish, but the purpose was for healing for us,
Mhm.
for him.
Right.
And so it had worked. So we thought, okay, it's taking time away from the family. It's time to sunset this.
But before we did that, Karen said, well, let me just look online, see if anyone's even listening to the show. We were brand new to podcasting. We didn't know the bells and whistles, the ins and outs. But she stumbled on Apple Podcasts. And apparently, Apple Podcasts has reviews on them. And she started reading page after page of 5-star reviews.
People had written like paragraphs, like taken the
Mm.
time
Yeah.
to write paragraphs.
But it's not to boast. Really, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the messages were consistent in one thing. The majority of them were saying, thank you for helping me to feel normal. And it hit us right between the eyes. Like, oh my gosh. So Karen turned to me and said, if we're helping one more person, we can't shut the show down. We've got to continue. So that was the impetus to move that show forward. But then fast forward about a year later, I'd say probably about 2 years ago,
Probably about 3 years
3
ago.
years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. And we took it to two different doctors for confirmation that it was indeed what the dreaded diagnosis said. And we decided to just what they call active surveillance, which is just watch it. I didn't do surgery. I didn't do chemo. I didn't do anything other than let's just watch it. Let's see if it's going to grow. We'll keep monitoring it and then schedule another biopsy the following year. Well, during that year, we were having people on the show, and though we didn't really talk about it afterwards, when you're waiting for the uploads to happen, you're just having conversation. It would come out sometimes. And every single person, I don't think there was a single
Everyone.
guest who came on the show who had some sort of healing modality said, please let me work on you. And of course we were graciously happy to accept. So over the course of the year, I had Reiki, I had intuitive healers, I had Ayurvedic diet people, I had all kinds of different types of things. So I can't lay it at any one particular foot. Went to the following year, went to get a biopsy again.
I did the MRI first.
Did the MRI, and the MRI looked like it was showing some.
It looked worse.
It looked worse, yeah. So we got the MRI, and the MRI, when we got the results, I couldn't not read them. You know, they say wait till your doctor so they can explain to you the results. Well, I'm not that guy. I read the results, and I wasn't sure I was understanding it, so I handed it over to Karen.
No, this is the MRI, you said.
No,
So
the
you went and
biopsy.
got the biopsy.
Yeah, after the
But you said
biopsy.
MRI.
Well, okay.
So they take the MRI and they lay it over the biopsy, and then they biopsy those specific areas. So those are the
Okay.
results that we're talking about.
Right. So, the results, I couldn't understand them. So I asked Karen, "Am I seeing this correctly? Because I can't imagine how they could be real." And they had taken 18 bores, 18 little cuts,
Samples, yeah.
and each one after another, read benign, 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 benign. Viv, they couldn't find it. It was non-existent. The doctor wanted to cancel my follow-up because, in light of the results, I'm just going to cancel her appointment. I need you to sit down in front of me in person, look me in the eye, and tell me where this cancer went. So she's like, all right, come on in. We went in, and she did just that. She sat down, she looked me in the eye, Karen's next to me, and she says, I can't explain it. All I can tell you is you never have to worry about this again. And so on the way home, it hit me, oh my gosh, there's something to this stuff that we're talking to, these healing modalities. There's something to this because we've got it confirmed by two top of the line oncologists. They had confirmed that I had cancer, and now it's gone without doing any surgery, without doing any chemo, nothing. I did nothing other than watch it and have these conversations and accept this gracious healing that these folks offered. And it was gone, nowhere to be found. And so suddenly I felt an urgency to help get this out. We've got to get these messages out. We've got to help people understand there's much more to Western medicine. There's much more to the world that we're living, the life that we're experiencing. And if you don't open yourself to the possibility, you're not going to experience it. You have to be open to it. And so we started collecting people that had shows in this space that had very important messages to get out to the world. We wanted to provide a platform for those people to get the messages out, and for those people that are looking for the messages to find them in a place where they wouldn't have to worry about being served something that was designed to elicit a fear response, which unfortunately that seems to be the media these days.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
liken it to each of these little content partners holding up their candle in the darkness. Everyone's doing their best to illuminate, but with one candle, it can be hard to see, especially if it flickers. But our goal is to gather all the candles together, which will create a big, beautiful beacon that everyone can see
So
and
wonderful.
get their help. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So far, with all the content that you've gathered, what have you really enjoyed the most?
Gosh, there's been so much. So Will talks about how much he's changed and grown and learned. And I didn't think that I had that much to change as far as believing in this stuff until you know what I'm going to talk about.
Mhm.
Until we interviewed a man who had a relationship with a family of Bigfoot,
Yeah, so
Sasquatch.
this is not the typical content that we have on the show, right? But
So he had reached out to us, and this was long ago. And he said, I've been this relationship, through like a generation with this family, and he provided us some recordings, and we played them. And I mean, I believe in a lot of this stuff, but I'm like, oh, I don't know, man. He sounded like he was drunk in the garage recording it. I mean, it just, yeah. And we're like, okay, but we had already agreed to have him on the show. Like, how are we going to get through this? So, because he believes us, it's a serious for him. It's serious, and as much as we joke with each other, we never we take the topic seriously. We never want anyone to feel belittled or anything like that. That's not at all what we want to do. So he comes on the show and he starts having this conversation. And I grew up watching way before your time. There's a show called In Search Of, and like where they explore these different things. And Bigfoot was always on there. It's like you can never follow Bigfoot. There was a sighting, and there'd be pictures of like blurry some big guy,
Yeah.
running off into the woods. I'm like, all right, so here we go. So we're talking to this gentleman.
but it's difficult to believe in something like that. Like, how could he
Who
possibly
can hide forever?
Right. Come on, no one's. Come on, right?
So we start the conversation. He's very seriously telling us about this, and by the end of the conversation, and this is a total spoiler alert for anybody who goes back and listens to the episode, he explains to us that it's not this family of it's not these like human animal people that live in the forest
that are really good at hiding.
Yeah, but instead they're interdimensional beings. And
that
I'm
pop
like,
that pop in and out of our dimension.
And I was like, oh, okay, I can believe that. So we hung up the interview with him, and I'm like, wow, how is it that it's more easy for me to understand an interdimensional being popping in and out than an actual physical creature? But it is. I'm like, so I am learning that I am becoming much more accepting. I already thought I was, but apparently not. So I learned that I've grown a lot as well.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun. That was one of our more fun conversations, I think.
Yeah, it does sound fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. I think for me, the thing I enjoy the most about what we're doing, every topic to me is fascinating because I love diving into this stuff. I learned so much about every different, and we've had all kinds of topics. Like you can probably any topic you could think of, we've probably had them on the show. And along those same lines, almost every topic you can think of, you can find as a content piece in New Reality TV as well. So all that stuff is hard for me. I'm a Gemini. I can't pick a favorite because it's not my nature. But if I were to say the thing I'm enjoying the most out of all of this that we're doing is the community that we're building, is a group of people that are all rowing in the same direction. We say that our unofficial tagline for the network is that this is just regular people going through spiritual awakenings, helping other regular people going through spiritual awakenings, right? So we don't have the Greg Bradens or Joe Dispenzas. We'd love to have them, but we don't. We instead are focusing more on authentic human connection, soul to soul. And that is what I'm enjoying the most, is being able to now, like the guy I was 5 years ago, to Karen's point, who was fighting her to put our daughter into a Presbyterian preschool, for God's sakes, is now talking to a Thai Buddhist monk going, oh, yeah, sure, that seems reasonable. I would never have done that. It's definitely not my path, but we've made a wonderful connection with someone who thinks so completely different to us. And it has expanded our world and our views on the world exponentially. And
Yeah.
each content partner we bring on just moves that needle even further. And that's been my favorite thing of it all.
And the kindness of everyone. It's
Yeah.
incredible. We're a startup. We launched in January, and it takes a little while for things to get rolling, but all of these people are working so hard creating these shows. And we thought, well, we want to do something to maybe try to put a little money in their pockets. And so we decided to do a summit. And then people could purchase the summit online. That we do still at a
Nice.
low cost, but they could watch this. So we were discussing this with all the content partners, and then one said, well, why don't we just do it for free? And the other ones are like, yeah,
They
let's
said
just
to
do it for
us.
free. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
So it was, two 8-hour days back and forth. Everyone, well, not all of, like
Wow.
16 or 17 of our content partners came. One emceed it. It was incredible. And they didn't want anything for it.
Yeah,
That's
they
beautiful.
just wanted to give back. And that's the kind of people that we're dealing with. And that's the kind of people we are attracting and want to attract.
Mhm.
Because to your point about the whole episode, the media these days is working against us. And so we are trying to build something that's more conscientious. It's more about raising the consciousness of the planet rather than let's see how many clicks we can get, or let's see how many people we can have tune in. We have expenses that we have to cover, so we do have to find that happy medium. But at the end of the day, the mission is really about let's help mankind. Let's help humanity grow to where they
Yeah.
need to be. And I think that as we move forward into this Aquarian age that we're in now, we're going to find more and more companies moving in that direction.
Mhm.
And we are proud to be one of the first media companies that are fully on board with this concept. It's not about how much money can we make. It's about how much help can we give.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And honestly, it already shows in the way your community is willing to give back that you're already impacting them. You're already creating a change and they want to be part of that change and move forward with you and evolve. So that's very beautiful. But bringing it back to when we were first talking about how you both were trying to find more time for your daughter and more time to do other things because of the podcast. How have you now managed to balance the podcast and then the network and then parenting?
It's the universe.
Yeah.
Really, really, it was within a couple of days after deciding, okay, we're not going to cancel the podcast. Will happened upon some incredible software that literally cut his editing time down to about a third.
About a third. Yeah.
So all of a sudden, we had much more free time. And I think we're finding that's happening. And it is with New Reality, it is a lot of work. We're a small group that are kind of running everything. But I don't know, we're still able to find the time.
Yeah. So my answer to that question is just to say temporal alchemy. We have one of our content partners is a wizard. He is a modern day wizard that manipulates all kinds of things. He alchemizes all kinds of things. One of the things he happens to alchemize is time. He stretches time. So one of the things that he talks about on his show is when you are mindful about needing time and you breathe a certain way, you can actually expand time to give you the time you need to do whatever you need to do. Take that even further, and it makes sense when you are passionate about something. And New Reality and the skeptic metaphysicians are two things that we are very passionate about. It is not something we want to do. It is a calling. This is something that we were put here to do. We really feel it, fully believe that. When you have that passion, when you follow that, when you follow your joy, you'll find that the universe says, all right, let's help him and her do that. And the universe gives you the time that you need to make it happen. I'm not going to say it's easy because it's not. We are working a lot, but we don't mind working a lot because it's a labor of love in the truest sense of the word. Now, There have been times where we felt burnt out. There have been times where we've had to take a step back. But the beauty of this community is that everyone involved says, "Hey, take a break." So we won't release new episodes this week. It's okay. We've got
Wow.
over 600 hours of other content people can consume. Don't worry about it. Take your time. And everyone has been incredibly gracious about that. But we find that the times that we start getting burnt out are the times that we've lost sight of our original mission to help. The more we focus on what our mission is, the more light we feel, the faster we move, the better the product is. When we start getting caught up in, oh my gosh, we got to pay our bills, that's when we start going, oof, and start feeling uncomfortable and start losing time.
So true.
I,
Thank
I
you
know
for
it
sharing.
sounds weird.
No, honestly, it doesn't. Because I'm even more curious about the wizard, but I'll ask about him later. I
Okay.
am. Yes.
All right.
But I wanted to ask, so with all of this, are you still balancing your 9 to 5s?
I am. Yes. On top of that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I
So
just wanted to be sure.
I work freelance, so I have a little more
Oh,
time. So
okay.
because there's all the house stuff, and so we lean on each other.
Yeah. Now,
Hmm.
having said that, our goal is to eventually let go of that 9 to 5. I will tell you very candidly, I do not resonate with my day job any longer. Because my consciousness has risen to the point where it's at right now, I don't feel aligned with some of the things that the company is doing. So it makes it very difficult for me.
Yeah.
So our hope is that this mission that we're being called to will eventually be the way of the future so that all businesses are doing this in a conscious way, which will allow us to live doing the thing that we love to do.
And
Yes.
we do try to be different. Our goal is to be a different type of company. So, one of the things that we've done is we've created a community portal for all of our content partners. You don't have to join, but you can if you want, if you're creating a show. And they have all just embraced it and they get on there, they talk to each other. They've been on each other's shows a lot. And it's really been wonderful seeing that community form. And that's, if everyone's happy, the business is just going to bloom so much better than if everyone's angry and stressed
So
and
true.
deadlines and.
So true. Why do you believe media is such a powerful tool for spiritual awakening?
We're constantly on it. Well, it is whether it's your phone or the television or your tablet you
Radio.
are constantly on it to a fault.
Mhm.
We become a society that have lost the ability to be connected with each other because we're connected with our devices. These devices take up all of our time. And so because we're there, what better way to help get spiritual awakenings to the masses than to create a media company that will serve the messages you need to elevate? And one of those messages, by the way, is put your dang media down, put your phone
Yeah.
down, go outside, enjoy your life, live in the now, connect with the people around you
Mm.
so that we don't have to send you messages through our phone, but rather we can actually talk to you in person at one of our retreats.
So
But the
true.
nice thing also is that we have people all over the world that we would not be able to be in touch with and contact. So we have that ability with the technology, with our media to be able to get their messages, learn from them, help broadcast them as well.
Hmm.
So people we're trying to blend everything together and it's becoming this whole space is becoming so much more mainstream, even though I always call it covert mainstream because you talk to doctors, lawyers, accountants, whatever, they're all doing it, but no one's talking about it. So we're we're trying to open that up and say, hey, it is normal.
Yeah.
Normal people are on their phones, look up stuff online, and there we are.
Yeah. And we just had an interview with someone who mentioned something that struck a chord in me because she happens to she's created an app for that helps with spiritual awakenings, helps you with meditations for spirit with a journey to awaken spiritually. And we asked her about the impact of technology because it just feels like that's something that traditionally you study with a guru and you learn the mysteries going in that direction. Now it's all about going within. Well, this app now perhaps uses artificial intelligence to get you on your journey, that kind of stuff. And we were concerned about that kind of thing, right? Because you lose the humanity. And
Yeah.
her answer surprised me in a way that was so profound that helps me to answer this question too. She said that technology What matters with the tools that you use is your intention. If your intention is to help humanity rise by the use of the technology, then the energies are in the right place. If your intent to use technology is in better your own situation, in whatever way that might be, if you want to read between the lines, then that perhaps might be something that humanity might want to be careful about, because the intention, the energies behind it, is what propels that forward. And so for media, we are bombarded with media that is only interested in self-aggrandizement. How many viewers do we have? How much ads can we sell? How much fear can we put out there? Because then it keeps people coming back. I need to know more. I need to know more. What's happening now? We are hoping, to Karen's point, to create a new business that uses technology in a way that helps raise humanity, not
Wow.
brings them down. And that's
Yeah.
a big difference.
And I think today it's the way we reach people anyways, especially the younger people. So we still, we still have books. He keeps ordering books. We're gonna have to like
I love to
move
read. I love to
because we
read.
have stacks of these books. But that like the younger people are on their phones reading stuff, they're downloading whatever. And we have to reach them where they can find us.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
think in that regard, the technology is helpful as well.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes so much sense. How do you both discern, or maybe it's Will since he does research, but how do you discern the right guests for the podcast?
That's an excellent question. At first, it was, hey, whoever wants to come on, right? Now we are lucky enough that people are coming to us. So we do have a process, submission process, an application for, I mean, I hate the word application because we're not judging anybody. We're looking to see if the person that wants to come on the show has a message that will resonate with what we're trying to get out into the world. So the first thing is, what is it you want to talk about on the show? Does it resonate? Does it fit in with what we want to talk about? And if so, I'll now then go online and I'll do some research, and I'll read about them and see what is their messaging like, what they talking about, how does it resonate with other people, and then based on that, uh, over the years, I've started really being pretty good at discerning by using my intuition, right? I've got all the data, right? My pragmatist mind needs the data, but then after that, I could look at someone, do some research on someone, and go, yeah, that doesn't really make sense. I don't know why that person would be on the show, but something inside me is going, just get them on. They're going to be really good for the show. And we bring them on, and it's some of the best conversations that we've ever had. And it's been the opposite as well. I've found, this person's got to come on the show. Holy smokes, it's going to be incredible. But something inside me is going, don't do it, don't do it. And we've had those people on sometimes, and afterwards, we have turned off the computer, turned off our board, put our microphones away, walked outside the door, and said, "What was that?"
That's true.
And those episodes never see the light of day, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
And that's one thing that we have people that when someone comes on, they do sign a guest release, and on the release it says, understand, it's not an obligation for us to release it. Our intention is to do so, but if there's something that doesn't quite fit, we reserve the right not to air it.
That's really
We feel
good.
it's a disservice to our audience to release things that just doesn't fit.
And we've had people that just come on and want to sell their book, and that's all they talk about. Well, we ask them questions. We'll find out in the book. Buy the book, and like we don't want that either.
Yeah.
So that's not helping anybody. So things like that we
Yeah,
not air.
we really want to give value, whether it's on Skeptic
Yeah.
Metaphysicians or New Reality. We want someone to come and go, man, I'm glad I listened to that, or man, I'm glad I watched that show because I learned something.
Right.
And not every episode will you be touched, right? But we hope, like especially on our show, we hope that you'll at least have fun listening, because we do
Yeah.
laugh a lot. We joke a lot. We give the information out in a way that we hope is a little bit more entertaining than the typical, so what does a chakra do then? Right? It's a little different than a lot of the shows are out there. So at the very least, we hope that they have fun. But I would say the majority of the shows are designed so that people can take something away thinking, I learned something there, or wow, yes, that resonates, or oh my gosh, that's exactly what I need to hear today. You know,
Yes. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Each time you talk about your podcast, I'm thinking about mine and I'm thinking about my own process as well. And I was wondering, and this is not for an ego boost, but I had to ask, what made you want to be on the Perspective with Viv show?
intuition,
Oh,
intuition. Yeah. Uh, there is something, your energy is beautiful.
thank
And
you. Thank
I
you.
didn't do, of course, I didn't do a whole lot of research on you. It just, it showed up on, hey, here's a show, a recommendation. And I said, it just felt nice. It felt good. So I looked at your information on that platform and said, yeah, let's, let's reach out and see if she might be interested in having us on.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you both are on because now I was thinking that, oh, wow, when they leave, I'm going to check out their podcast and listen to everything because I just get this whole. I just get this whole vibe that we're similar in different ways because when you talk about your guests and how they come on and they just blow your minds and you learn new things, that's what it's like on my podcast. Like people come on and they're so phenomenal and they share things that I'm interested in but I don't know much about. And then I leave feeling like, wow, I love what I'm doing. I love what work does to me. And I'm sure when people listen, they just feel impacted. And I'm just so happy to be doing this. So I feel like we've just like met and crossed paths and it's like, oh yeah, this is where we're meant to be.
Yes, definitely.
Absolutely.
I mean, right away, your energy, like I said, it's beautiful. You have beautiful energy,
Thank
and
you.
I hope that your show does. I know that your show is going to do gangbusters. So,
Oh, thank
hopefully,
you.
we'll stay in touch after the interview because
But
this has been
definitely,
really nice.
definitely, we will. Definitely. Yeah. Now, so what do you think humanity is most hungry for right now?
I think, although they don't realize it, they are hungry for community and love. I think everyone is so isolated and kind of surrounded by this barrier of protective fear and anger. I think a lot of that has to do with technology. I think a lot of it had to do with COVID, and people never really recovered from that. So I think people need to learn how to be a community again. And yeah, that and love. And there's so many different ways that love presents itself. And people just think of the romance or the mother-daughter or whatever. There's so much more to it than that. So I think if people had this more of this knowledge or acceptance or even openness to thinking about the different types of love, that would actually help create the community even better. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I think we're all the world is going crazy right now, right? And there's a lot of fear everywhere. People are scared, and I think that they're looking for a way to feel safe. There's not a lot of places you can go right now that you can feel truly safe, no matter where you are in the world. Honestly, the states, we're Hispanic. We don't feel safe in the
True.
states anymore, which is the last thing I would have ever thought to
Mhm.
say. I've been a very proud American for since my whole life. I was born. I'm a citizen. I was born in
Yeah.
America, but we have Hispanic descent. But people are afraid these days, and I think what they're most craving is a sense of safety, of security, that they can trust that they're going to be safe. That's really, again, not to beat a dead horse, but that's what new reality TV is about. It's a place to feel safe. You're not going to be served anything that's going to make you afraid. The community portal is one that you can come in and know that you are with your tribe, that you're going to be safe. And the spiritual path that we're all walking on, it's a very solitary path. We can't do it for each other. We have to do it ourselves. But it doesn't mean that you can't do it surrounded by a group of loving people that are going to help support you in the time of need, because spiritual awakenings, it's hard. It's messy. It's the probably the most difficult thing anyone will ever have to do. And if you try to do it by yourself, that's a really hard road. And especially with the way that the world is these days, and it's like that for a reason. It's like that to make us get up off our butts. We've been really comfortable for a long time, and now we're transitioning into a new era, and we have no choice but to evolve. kicking and screaming or joyfully and gleefully. It's your choice. And I choose to go into it joyfully, surrounded by people that I love and that I know love me. And we support each other. To Karen's point, that community aspect of it. That's really, I think, what's needed right now.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, for someone who wants to build a community or feel like they're part of a community, but they have trouble connecting with people, or they possibly have pride or ego, self-worth issues, where can they start from?
That's the beautiful thing about the internet. It's the good and the bad because it's easy to be an online bully because nobody has to really see who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side, you can go and dip your toe into all of these little things without truly revealing who you are until you find a place that you're comfortable. And, whether it's New Reality or any other place, I think there's a place for everyone. And, try this, try that. You'll eventually find something where you'll feel comfortable enough and at home enough that you can let the curtain drop and really, reveal who you are and be with your companions.
Yes.
And it's an excellent question because it is, like I said, the safety issue, right? How do I know I can be safe with this person? That's one of the reasons why. I mean, we firmly believe now in one truth, many paths, and we know that not everyone is going to resonate with Karen and I. Those people are crazy, but beyond that,
And they'll all resonate with me, but him,
I love that.
but the reason why we have such varied, different personalities and messages and paths on New Reality is because of that. It is safe. We have a 24-hour international broadcast, so you can just sit there and watch the show and say, now this show's not really, this person's not really quite my cup of tea. Wait for the next one that's going to come up in a minute. And then all of a sudden you go, oh yeah. But the very first step is to allow yourself to be open to the possibility of connecting. For a very long time, I was skeptical, right? Nope, this stuff is not right, not real, blah, blah, this bull. Well, the universe is always going to give you exactly what you believe. Whatever it is that you believe in this current moment is 100% your reality. That's why I said we create our own reality. The minute you crack that door just a little bit and you say to the universe, okay, universe, I'm open to learning more. The universe will go, oh, they're going to throw a party. Angels will be blaring their horns. And then they're going to go, okay, well, how about this? I'll give you a little morsel, a little grain of sand of mystery that makes you go, oh, that's interesting. If you then say, nah, bullshit, and close the door, well, you're back to your regular 3D world. But however, if you go, ooh, okay, I like that. Show me more. Little by little, the more you show that you're open to the universe, the more the universe is going to give you things that make you go, oh my gosh, I see now. Right? But you have to be open to it. The minute you are open to it, that's the ticket. It's the same thing with a connection. You have to be open to trusting that the connection, the energy that you're feeling with that particular person is aligned. There are times you're going to feel that and then go with them, and then suddenly a few episodes down, you're going to go, "Ooh, oh, maybe not so much." But go on to the next one, next personality. You will find your tribe as long as you're open to finding your tribe in a unique, authentic way.
And we also want, people to know that there is such a variety of different people within the same modality. So maybe you're interested in meditation, and so you watch one show and it's very calm and close your eyes, and and you're like, this isn't working for me. We've got someone else who's all right, sit down, 5 minutes, first thing in the morning, and she's like the most spitfire meditation teacher I've ever. She's like, woo. But she's fantastic. So it's like therapy. You might talk to multiple different therapists before you find one that you sink in. There can be multiple different past life regressionists or channelers or whatever. So even if you see one you don't resonate, stick around. You'll find another that you do resonate with.
That's why I think shows like ours are so important. And I mean, ours meaning yours too, right? It's you are introducing people to new people that may, I promise you, your person, your group, your tribe, your community is out there. They're out there. You just have to kiss enough frogs to find them, right? But we're blessed in a way that now our entire community now expands out globally. So you're not just stuck to your country, your state, your city, your street, your neighborhood, right?
We've got Portuguese frogs, we've got Tibetan frogs, we've got British frogs.
Right, Australian frogs. We got all kinds of frogs and a couple of tadpoles too. But, 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 but the trick is, you just don't get discouraged.
Yeah.
Don't get discouraged because your people are out there. I promise you that. And if you just keep searching with the knowledge, with the certainty that you're going to find them, I promise you, you will find them.
That's what we want everyone to know.
Thank you so much to you both for sharing that with me. What would you say that your prediction of how media is going to evolve, skeptics and pragmatists, how are they going to feel with this Aquarian age, as well as the spiritual healers? What do you think?
Oh, God.
So here's my
I gotta think.
my God's honest theory is we're already seeing it, the shift, the separation, the division. Yeah, there are going to be people out there. Like I said, you can either go forward in fear or go forward in joy. There are people out there who are going, hell no, we won't go. And they're digging their heels in saying, I will not change. I will not accept the fact the world is changing around me. And I'm going to go back to the old ways. I'm going to force you to go back to the old ways too, because I don't want you to get better.
Well, I don't think it's I don't want you to get better. I think it's I feel comfortable there.
Sure.
You know, I feel comfortable with having someone else to blame.
But then also, if there are other people around them that don't feel the same way, they're not going to feel comfortable. They're going to feel uncomfortable. So they need you to come to this side because otherwise you're making me uncomfortable. So we're already experiencing that right now. So I believe, and this is really woo, so bear with me. I believe that we are not the only ones that are evolving. I believe that our planet is evolving also. I believe that our vibrational frequencies are shifting. And what's happening is that as our vibrational frequencies raise, those are staying behind on the old vibrational frequencies will stay behind on a planet that has not changed its vibrational frequency. So eventually we're seeing that separation, that ugliness, that destruction of things because we're all living in the same reality. Well, our own reality, but we're all living on the same planet in same frequency that is now really causing a birth. And every birth is messy, right? And difficult. So this interim process, I don't know how long it's going to be. It'll be a while yet, but eventually we'll transition. So those that want to stay in the 3D can certainly stay in the 3D with no harm done. But those that are willing to move up into the 5 or higher will live on a planet that has also raised its vibrational frequency, and things will be much better.
So do you mean an actual separate physical planet, or are you just talking about a different dimension on the same planet?
Different dimension.
Yeah, like consciousness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe that. And I think that you can see it in a way now because it's not just people, but animals and plants too. Every once in a while, you hear about a new animal discovery that happened that we haven't seen this animal in a billion years, and all of a sudden here it is
like
again.
The worm.
Yes.
That survived 46,000 years in ice.
Exactly. So as we change our vibrational frequency, we're coming more in alignment with those other creatures that are at a higher frequency, that they raise their vibrations sooner than we did. So now we're catching up to them, and they're going extinct in the 3-dimensional vibrational space because they're no longer aligned with that vibration. So we are transitioning. I had told you it was woo. I tried to warn you.
Thank you for sharing that, because I totally agree. And I must bring it back to my personal life. I feel as though, because there's this shift in my energy as well and my vibration, the 3D world is staying where it was, but I can no longer stay there because I'm no longer a match. So it's kind of like people are seeing that
Yes.
I'm drifting away from what I usually used to do and who I was before to become something new. And when they see me, the people from the old world, when they see me, it's like, who is this person? We never knew she looked like this. We never knew her energy is more grounded than it was before. Because yes, back in the day, I was not embodied, but like for the first time, my 3D world saw me and was like, wow, you no longer fit in here. Goodbye. And everything fell apart. And I was like, yeah, there's this difference in consciousness now that we're in the same earth. Yes, but I'm living a different level of consciousness and so are you. So we're having two different experiences and realities, and I'm possibly manifesting and you're possibly creating or recreating the cycle that you found yourself in. And so, yeah, we're not going on the same path. But I think the most beautiful thing is, regardless, it's about us embodying our our authentic selves in order to inspire other people to put that switch on so that they too awaken. So as we shift in consciousness, it's not about trying to bring people with us. It's about vibrating at the frequency that we already are and hoping that that inspires people enough to take that leap to us, as opposed to us going down to
Yes.
drag them up. Yeah, so that's why I believe in
Definitely.
conscious media, and that's why I'm also very, very positive about new reality TV. I love the name because it's just yeah, new reality. I definitely have homework to do on you guys some more.
Well,
I love
and let me
that.
just
you.
state, when someone does go to new reality TV, we do, you build us as Netflix for consciousness. And that is indeed kind of what it is. But we do have a 24-hour international broadcast like we talked about. But then we also have the on-demand side of things, so you can go back and consume all the rest of the content if you fall in love with a content partner. But oh my gosh, what was I going to say?
I have no idea.
I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, geez. That's what happens when
It's
you get
so
old, Viv. Don't get
good.
old.
No, actually do get old.
I will
Yes.
get old.
It sure beats
I will
alternative.
get
Yes. Yeah. No, but okay. So yeah. So you are changing your vibration, and sometimes you're being seen as completely different. I agree with that 100%. Some people might have a difficult time with that.
You know, okay, so I'm just cutting you off. Sorry. But that just pops something in my head, and I'm unfortunately getting older too. Fortunately, I don't want to forget it. Um, Talking about someone might come on and not really, I guess, jive with some of the stuff. You have to listen to the whole story, and sometimes the messenger might seem a little
I know where you're
different.
going.
You know where I'm going? So we have one of our content partners who is actually one of my most favorite people in the world, and I've never met him in person. And when he first started producing content for us, we were looking at it, and he dresses. He's a Norse shaman. He dresses in the robes, and he has this very deep voice. And his whole show, he has the background, and you're like, oh, it reminded
He's a
me
little
a
out
little bit.
there.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of like the back in the day Star Trek shows. And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I had helped him with, like, some editing tweaks, but I hadn't really listened to the entire thing because we have so many shows that we have to go through and help the people with. So he was one of the people on our summit. It gets to be his turn. I'm like, "Oh boy, what's this guy gonna say?" And he was incredible. And the thing that really stuck with me that I'm telling everybody all the time when I get a chance is he talks about walking through the forest. And you walk through the forest and you happen upon this puddle. And you look into the puddle and you can see the beautiful sky and the reflection of the trees, and it's all really lovely. And you walk around to the other side of the puddle and you turn and you look back in the puddle. Does it look the same? No. But has the puddle changed? No. Your perspective has changed. So our perspectives can really change everything. And that's really important to know. So if you try, even when you're in this hard situation, to look at it from a different perspective, walk around the puddle to the other side if you can. It might really change the outcome of everything that you're going through at that time, as well as your energy, your vibrations. Was this beautiful story from this guy that I thought was kind of campy when I first met him. So you just never know. That's that whole don't judge a book by the cover. I mean, he's just this wonderful person. So
He's
brilliant.
absolutely brilliant. And you reminded me what I was going to say.
Yay.
Because of Mark's show, actually. Not every show is super polished, and that's by design. When someone goes to new reality TV, don't expect Hollywood level production, because
I
that's
love
not what we're looking
that.
for. We're looking
Wow.
for authentic connections. We do have a couple of shows that have drone footage and all kinds of stuff.
Super polished.
But then we've got other shows that are just like this, where we've got a 2-box and we're talking to each other on screen. Then the conversation is what drives the interest, the engagement. It's different. Then we have other shows that people are just doing a TED talk to camera, for example. And then we've got the Thai Buddhist guy who's actually going to all the secret sites in Eastern Asia, for example, and then doing Qigong or breath work practices after he gives you a tour of these holy sites in those areas, that places that we typically wouldn't have access to. He's giving us access to. So there's all kinds of shows, but people sometimes go to it and go and expect Netflix type of shows, and it's not that. We're not scripted. It's all very real, authentic, some of it very raw,
Very genuine.
and very genuine. Yeah.
And we have, realized, and just with our work that we do, aside from this, that people, we talked about the isolation earlier and people needing that community and that connection. It's really hard when you're watching television to connect with someone who's just in this very lavish place and has, you can tell they're like millionaire or whatever. And you're like, well, that might be nice for you, but I can't afford that. And and there are people that connect with that, and that's wonderful. I'm not trying to disparage that in any way, shape, or form. We have some of that, but we also have the average Joe, because most of us want someone that we can see ourselves in.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, he knows what I'm talking about, or she gets me.
Yep.
I could be friends with that person if I met them on the street. And when you have that connection, even if it's just, while watching a show, it's going to help your intake of the information. You're gonna want to hear it more. You're gonna believe it more, and you're gonna be able to apply it to your own life.
Yep. And then we have the shows that bridge the gap between where that is and where you thought you couldn't afford. How to get there, right?
Wow.
So we have
Something
all
for
the
everyone.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think something that I find that we have in common is that whole not doing the most to put out content, or not trying to be more than you are in order to give a certain aesthetic, because that's what my podcast is all about. Sometimes I'm recording in the dark and I put it on video, and I'm like, just focus on my guest and the conversation, because when I started this podcast, sometimes I'll record in my bed, and I kept saying to my listeners, look, this is a podcast, right? But this is a place where we do things in a real way. We're not trying to be structured, or we're not trying to be what a podcast should be like. We're just trying to be ourselves and make sure that the conversation, the content is what you're focusing on and enjoying. So sometimes I may do some odd things, but it's kind of like to show that, oh, look, this is who I am. I'm sure of myself being quirky, or not being like how you'd expect a podcaster to do their certain things. And I want you to love me just like that, because that's who I am. And anybody that comes on my podcast, I allow them to be their quirky selves, do whatever, be yourselves, be happy. You guys will understand that this is how we do the work here. So I really connect with how you do new reality TV. Honestly, everything you said, I've connected with it. And I'm just so happy that we're able to come together and have this conversation.
Awesome.
Yeah, yes.
Awesome.
So this is
Yeah.
a beautiful place to stop, okay? Now, listeners, if today sparked something in you, whether you're skeptical, seeking, or somewhere in between, go check out skepticmetaphysician.com. It's the home base for truth seekers, curious minds, and people who want media that heals instead of numbs. And if you love this episode, share it with someone who's interested in conscious media. You can also follow me on Instagram at Perspective with Viv, and subscribe for more honest and interesting conversations like this one. Till next time, listeners, stay happy, stay conscious. Bye.